All right, let's jump right into it. We're talking about the Witchhunter Mercenary Build for Path of Exile 2 today, and we've got this guide here.
Yeah.
It's called Witchhunter Mercenary Class. Something. You get the idea.
Yeah, using the Ascendancy called Witchhunter
Right.
crossbow build for Path of Exile 2.
Yeah. So that's what we're looking at, and we're just gonna like pull out all the the coolest stuff and all the like need to know info.
For sure. This build is all about really just like laying down the pain.
Okay.
You're a sharpshooter that not only hits precisely, but, kind of like takes apart the enemy's defenses at the same time.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a really fun build.
So where do we even begin with something like that?
Well, I think one of the coolest parts of this build is the Ascendancy nodes, right?
Yeah.
So the guide points out like 4 major Ascendancy nodes that really kind of like solidify this build and make it
Okay, let's hear it.
awesome. So it's like unlocking, specializations within the Witch Hunter's skill tree.
So the first one, is there one that like stands out to you?
Yeah, Weapon Master is a great starting point.
Okay.
What Weapon Master allows you to do is convert passive skill points into weapon-specific points, essentially hyper-specializing
Okay.
in your crossbow mastery.
I see. So it's like you're choosing a path,
Mm-hmm.
and that path is like, I'm going to be the best at crossbows.
Exactly.
Okay, I like it. What else?
So then there's a really fun one called Pityless Killer.
Okay.
Pityless Killer is where things get brutal. It grants you Culling Strike, which is a mechanic that essentially just eliminates
Oh, wow.
enemies below a certain health threshold.
I see.
Just boom, gone.
So does that work on like bosses and stuff?
It does, but you have to kind of like whittle them down first, right?
Ah.
So the guide emphasizes using abilities like armor-piercing rounds and explosive grenade launcher.
I see.
You weaken them first and then
Okay.
deliver the killing blow.
Oh, clever.
Oh,
Okay.
Culling Strike.
So what are the other ascendancy nodes?
So there is Judge, Jury, and Executioner.
Right.
This node unlocks Decimating Strike, and it's this super cool mechanic that essentially removes a chunk of their life before damage is applied.
Oh, that's crazy. Okay, so like
Yeah.
I hit them, and then before I hit them, they're already hurt.
Yeah, it's like pre-damaging
Okay, yeah.
enemies. So you think about it, and that pairs really well with Culling Strike,
Right,
right?
because they're already lower on health.
Yeah. And then that moves us into our final Ascendancy node, Witch Bane.
Ooh, Witch Bane sounds so cool.
Yeah.
What's that one all about?
So Witch Bane is really cool because it disrupts an enemy's concentration when you hit them.
Oh,
And concentration is this pool of, it's like a resource that dictates how quickly they recover from being stunned or staggered,
So I break their concentration.
Yeah, and it makes them way more vulnerable.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like every hit makes the next hit.
Creates this like really fun damage loop.
I like it. I'm digging it.
Yeah.
So judge, jury, and executioner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Removes health before, and then Witch Bane is gonna.
Yeah, it's gonna just destroy their ability to recover from your
Okay.
hits.
So what are the actual skills that we're using to do all this?
So the guide recommends armor-piercing rounds as your primary skill,
Okay.
and then explosive grenade launcher as your secondary skill.
Okay. Why those two?
So armor-piercing rounds is your like bread and butter.
Okay.
That's what you're using to kind of like chunk them down and get them ready for Culling Strike.
I see.
But what really makes it shine are the support gems you lose with it.
Oh, okay. Let's hear about those.
So the guide recommends Culling Strike, ammo conservation, additional accuracy, faster attacks, and area of effect.
Okay. A lot of gems. So I get the Culling Strike, obviously, but why those other ones?
Right, so ammo conservation, you're shooting a lot of arrows, and you don't want to be stuck reloading in the middle of a fight.
Okay. That makes sense.
So ammo conservation helps kind of keep those bolts flowing. Additional accuracy, because in this build, you're really focusing on hitting
Sure.
consistently.
Yeah, we want those crits.
Faster attacks, because again, more attacks means more damage
Right.
and more chances to proc Culling Strike. And then area of effect, sometimes you're going to be fighting groups.
Yeah. You got to be able to handle that.
So AoE just helps kind of like soften up those groups for your explosive grenade launcher.
So we got armor-piercing rounds,
Mm-hmm.
and then we hit them with the explosive grenade launcher.
Exactly.
Okay, so what about that skill? What's special about that one?
So this is your AoE, right? Your big damage.
Ooh.
And it's also really good for pushing enemies into that Culling Strike threshold.
I see. Okay, and what kind of support gems are we using for that one?
Culling Strike, again, inspiration for mana. added fire damage because this is a fire-based build,
Right.
faster projectiles.
To really make them explode.
Yeah, make sure those grenades hit, and area of effect
Okay.
to maximize those explosions.
Gotcha. So we have those two. Now, the guide also mentions these other skills. Herald of Ash, Discipline, Orctic Armor,
Yeah.
Flammability, Sniper's Mark, and Plague Bearer. What are all those for?
So those are kind of like your utility skills that buff your damage, help you survive,
Oh, so they're not like the main attacks?
Yeah.
But they help the main attacks be better?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. Wow, so this is already a pretty
Yeah.
complex build.
It's a lot of fun, yeah.
I'm impressed.
And we haven't even gotten into like gear and passives yet.
Oh, right. We got to talk about that stuff.
Yeah. So let's talk gear.
Yeah.
You gotta have the right tools for the job.
Right, of course.
And for the witch hunter, it can make a big difference.
So, what do we need? What are we looking for?
Well, the weapon is obviously the most important thing.
Okay.
We want a high damage crossbow, ideally with mods that boost crit chance, attack speed, maybe some physical damage.
Oh, so like maybe a crossbow that like shoots armor-piercing bolts?
Exactly.
But then it also has like a chance to like shoot extra bolts or something?
Yes, something like that.
That'd be sick.
Yeah, a nice blend of precision and power, right?
All right, so we got the weapon. What about armor?
For armor, you're going to want to focus on energy, shield, and resistances.
Okay.
We want to be able to take a hit,
Right.
but also have a nice pool of energy shield to absorb those elemental attacks.
It's like a suit of armor that's also like imbued with magic.
Yeah, exactly.
So we got offense, we got defense. Now what about the passive skill tree?
So the passive tree is where you really start to like customize your character.
Okay.
You're allocating points to enhance those core strengths.
Like a roadmap for your character.
Exactly.
Yes.
So for the witch hunter, you're going to want to prioritize things like projectile damage, critical strike chance, and multiplier, maybe some life or energy shield, depending on your preference. And remember that weapon master node.
Yeah.
Make sure to use those weapon set skill points that it provides.
Okay, so like really focusing on those crossbow skills.
To really become that like crossbow master,
Yeah, I like it. So we got to make sure we don't die though, right?
Oh, absolutely. Survivability is key.
So like what kind of things are we taking for that?
Yeah, so look for passives that boost your defenses. Resistances, evasion, maybe more energy shield if that's your thing.
Right.
It's all about finding that balance, right?
Yeah, got to be able to kill, but you got to be able to not get killed too.
Exactly.
So we've got our character all set up. How do we actually play this thing?
So the witch hunter is all about, I would say, calculated aggression. You want to weaken your enemies, exploit those vulnerabilities, and then finish them off.
So like when I walk into a room full of bad guys, what do I do?
Okay, so you're going to start off with those armor-piercing rounds.
Okay.
Really soften them up, get them primed for culling strike, and then you follow up with explosive grenade launcher.
Oh, so it's like a 1-2 punch.
Exactly.
Okay, I like it. What about if it's like a whole bunch of smaller enemies?
In that case, explosive grenade launcher becomes your best friend.
Okay.
Use those AoE support gems that we talked about.
Right.
Take them out quickly.
So like I just chuck a grenade, everything explodes, and then I move on.
Pretty much, yeah.
Perfect. All right, and what about those like big bad bosses?
So against bosses, it's going to be more about weakening them with those armor-piercing rounds
Right.
before you try to go for the culling strike.
Okay.
And positioning is going to be key here.
Oh, so I can't just like stand there and take it.
No. You got to use your movement skills, like
Well-
dash to dodge those attacks and make sure you're, in the right spot to maximize your damage.
So there is some strategy involved. It's not just like point and click adventure.
Definitely not.
Okay, cool. Now every build has its downsides.
That's true. Yeah. No build is perfect.
What are some of the downsides to the Witch Hunter?
I would say one downside is that it is reliant on positioning and timing.
Okay.
You can't just, run in and expect to win.
Right.
You have to be a little more careful.
Okay, gotcha.
And then, of course, some endgame bosses have very specific mechanics
Right.
that might require you to adjust your strategy a little bit.
So I might have to like change up my build or something like that.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
And, this build also relies on getting specific gear and making the right passive choices.
Okay.
So it's not something that you can just like throw together and expect it to work perfectly.
Right.
You have to be mindful of your choices as you level up.
But if you do it right, it's really powerful.
Oh, absolutely. The Witch Hunter can put out some serious damage.
Okay.
And it's a lot of fun to play.
So we've covered like the skills and we've covered the gear and we've covered like the passive tree and kind of how to play it.
Yeah.
I'm curious what our listener is thinking right now. So, like, if you were playing this build, right, you know all this stuff now, what kind of crazy item combinations would you, like, try to use to make it even better?
Oh, that's a great question. There's so much you could do, right? Like, we talked about how important concentration disruption is.
Right.
What if you could find items that, like, amplify that effect?
Yeah.
Maybe even cause, like, extra debuffs when you break their concentration.
So they're, like, extra vulnerable.
Exactly.
I like it. Or, like, what if you had a crossbow that, like, every time you got a killing strike, it, like, caused an explosion?
Oh, that would be awesome.
And then that explosion, like, chained to other enemies.
Yeah, like a chain reaction of explosions.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah, right. And then you could even have, like, jewels that boost your projectile damage based on how much life you took with Decimating Strike.
So many possibilities.
It is, yeah. The sky's the limit, really.
I guess that's kind of the beauty of Path of Exile, right?
Exactly, and there's so much room for experimentation.
Like, we've given you the basics, but now it's up to you to, like, go out there and find your own crazy combination.
Exactly. Find what works for you, you know.
And maybe you'll discover something totally new that nobody's ever thought of before.
That's what's so exciting about it.
All right, so that's pretty much it for our deep dive on the Witchhunter build.
Yeah, I think we covered a lot today.
Hopefully you guys, learned something. And hopefully this gives you some ideas for how to make your own awesome build.
Definitely.
Go have some fun.
Yeah, see you next time.
Right. See ya.